The Raiders have now lost 6 games in a row, 4 losses away from matching the 2014 Raiders' 10 straight losses. Mark Davis has sold another 15% of the team to investors. As the injuries continue to add up, the Raiders continue to move up in the 2025 draft order. I'm Douglas Sheffield, and we have all that and more coming up on Sideline to Sideline right here on Section 105 Media Network.
I had a dream that someday I would build the finest organization in professional sports. Just win. Play hard. Try not to make mistakes. But don't worry about mistakes because there's only one thing that counts. Just win.
10 years ago, the Raiders got off to their worst start in franchise history, losing their first 10 games. That was Derek Carr's rookie year and head coach Dennis Allen's last year as the Raiders' 8th seed. Oddly enough, Dennis and Derek ended up on the Saints 10 years later and lost 7 straight games before Allen was let go. The funny thing is, the same Raider fans that wanted Carr gone because of losing games now seem to think AP should be given next year to prove he can win. I, for one, cannot stand this line of thinking. AP could very easily lose 13 straight games this year. And while I want the top pick in the 2025 draft, I most certainly don't want the head coach with the worst losing streak in franchise history to even have a chance to coach our future QB. And yes, I think we will lose the rest of our games this season. At this point, if we get a QB that does well with AP as head coach, it'll be because of the QB, not because of AP's coaching ability. The Raiders need to protect their future QB from a head coach that is as bad as Dennis Allen. Mark Davis is getting paid again. MD just sold 15% of the Raiders to investors, and I'm sure the Mark Davis haters are peeing their pants with excitement. But those fans should hold their water and remember that Al Davis sold off as much of the team as he could and remained the owner of the Raiders. So, I'm not surprised at all by the moves MD is making when it comes to selling percentages of the Raiders. It's a Davis family tradition. As the injuries add up in the 2024 season, the Raiders move up in the 2025 draft order. So there is hope. Thank you, Famous Jameis and the Cleveland Browns, for taking out the most hated Steelers at the start of Week 12. Now, we just need the Giants and the Titans to rise up and drop down in the 2025 draft order. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe if you haven't already, Raider Nation. Now on with the show. All right, Raider Nation, it is time for Quick Hits. Now, as I said before, more and more reports of Brady having more say than people think are popping up. And, I think it's a good thing, right? Mark Davis is selling some of the team, right, trying to generate income and make moves that put the Raiders hopefully in a position to win. And I think that the move with Tom Brady is that move that will help us win, right? Now, the thing about it, right, is I was all about Josh McDaniels, right, but he came and screwed the Raiders up. So you got to hope that Brady's not bringing that Patriot way. Bring that Brady way, right? He won with the Patriots and the Buccaneers. So he's a winner. He's a winner. And hopefully he can help us win. And that's what we need. Now, moving right along, Brock Bowers is continuing to show the NFL that he is the real deal. He is leading rookie receivers and yardage, and it's, through week 11, and it's something that, you should really be excited about. This kid, man, is tough, man. He catches the ball, he high-pointed it versus the Dolphins. He's a really good player, man, and I love to see him succeed. Now, considering we are tanking, I'd like to also see that they protect him in ways. So hopefully he stays healthy and they don't just depend on him to try to make a run at the end of the year that's pointless and he gets hurt. But I don't think he will. I think he's durable. So now that we're talking about injuries, man, the injuries stack up and it's not a good sign for the Raiders versus the Broncos, man. Nate Hobbs and Bennett are going to be out versus Denver, man. And Bo Nix had a hell of a game versus the Falcons, man. This kid is coming on strong, man. He's a perfect example of why we have to get our quarterback, because in this division, we're facing elite quarterbacks, right? Patrick Mahomes, right? Herbert's got to be, top 15, and Bo Nix is looking to be top 15, man. So we got to get our quarterback, man. So that's the most important thing right now. Now, I know a lot of people don't like that line of thought, right? They want it to all be happy-go-lucky, but at the same time, I don't know, man. It's not going to be that happy-go-lucky. We're not going to win the rest of the year and just make everything right, man. We're going to lose out, and it's going to suck, but buckle up, man, because 2025 is going to be a better year. All right, Raider Nation, let's get into Week 11's recap of the Raiders versus the Dolphins. Now, I got to say, this was an ugly loss. 34-19. The Raiders go down, and they go down hard. Now, I thought it would be a closer game, but it wasn't. I knew we would lose, but I thought it would be a closer game. But the Dolphins showed that they're better than the record shows, and they showed that the Raiders are terrible. And now we all know that we are just flat out terrible, man. It doesn't matter what the other team's record is. Chances are we're not going to beat them. So the Raiders open up the game, and on their first drive, they go 70 yards and 14 plays in 8 minutes and 13 seconds. The defense tried to come up with the stop in the red zone, but on 4th and goal from the Las Vegas 1, Tua finds Smith for a 1-yard touchdown. Now, Coach JB talked about how fast he gets the ball out. I believe Coach Graham was talking about that too, but we weren't able to stop it. He did what he was supposed to do in the red zone and scored the touchdown. The Miami Dolphins go up 7-0. The Raiders on their first drive try to answer with a touchdown. They go 61 yards, 12 plays in 6 minutes and 39 seconds. But on 4th and goal at the Miami 9, they had to settle for a field goal. Now, this is pretty much what happens to the Raiders in the red zone. We settle for field goals, and I'm sick of it. That brings the score to Las Vegas 3, Miami 7. Now, on the Raiders' second drive, after the Dolphins scored a field goal to extend their lead to 10-3, they go 66 yards and 16 plays, 6 minutes and 1 second. But again, on 4th and goal, this time at the Miami 4, they had to settle for yet another field goal. And look, this is just killing us. Again, in the red zone, again and again, we kick field goals. That brings the score to 6-10 Miami and takes us into halftime. Now, coming out of the half, the Raiders had to punt the ball to start the second half, and on the Dolphins' 4th drive, on 3rd and goal from the Las Vegas 8, Tua finds Tyreek Hill for 8 yards and a touchdown. He moves out of the pocket and finds his guy in the end zone. You know, we've been getting killed by quarterbacks that can move around and extend the play. Like I said, we need our guy. We're getting ready to face two guys, and Nix and Patrick Mahomes, that can extend the play. You know, these are the types of quarterbacks that are successful in the NFL. We need that. Coming up in this draft, we're going to get it, I believe. So that takes the score to 17-6 Miami. Again, man, they capitalized in the red zone and pay dirt. All right, so coming up, we got the Raiders' 4th drive, which was 70 yards, 8 plays, only 2 minutes and 52 seconds. But finally, on 3rd and 9, from the Miami 23, Minshew finds Bowers for a touchdown. This kid has got everything we need him to have, man. He's going to be a great tight end. You know, shout out Mark Davis. I'm glad you got this guy. Don't get the wrong coach, okay? Because we're going to need a coach that can coach our QB, our new QB, and find a way to get the ball to Brock Bowers in order to win us some games, man. This kid's running through tackles, man. I think he's going to win Rookie of the Year, man. He's definitely deserving of it. They end up going for 2, but get stuffed, man. Stuffed. And that's just ugly. I mean, I don't know what to say about that. I mean, the play calling is not that spectacular coming from Scott Turner. So I didn't think it was better than, you know, what we've seen from Luke Getsy, but a lot of people seem to think that, but I didn't think that. So that puts the score at 12-17 Miami. Then on Miami's 5th drive, they go 60 yards in 10 plays in 5 minutes and 44 seconds. And a Kane goes on the left side for 2 yards and a touchdown. Again, in the red zone, they are money, right? This is what we need our team to be, money in the red zone. You can't settle for field goals. You got to score touchdowns. And the Miami Dolphins know that, and they did that. And that's why they were able to beat us so badly. Now that puts the game at 24-12. The Raiders, man, they struggled in this one for sure. They struggled. So, on the Raiders' 5th drive, they go 70 yards, 14 plays, 6 minutes and 14 seconds. And again, they did try to fight. I'll give them that. They tried to fight, but there's just not enough fight in that dog. Minshew, though, is able to find Abdullah for a 10-yard touchdown. Makes the first guy miss, dives into the end zone. You know, Abdullah, I like the kid, but he's not the answer either. None of these guys are the answer on this roster, except for maybe the rookies that we drafted last year. So here's to Tom Telesco building this team through the draft for years to come. Now this takes the score to 24-19. And then Miami shows up again. On their 6th drive, they go 70 yards, 4 plays in 1 minute and 4 seconds. And Tua, again, just goes off. This time he goes deep down the field and finds Smith for 57 yards and a touchdown. Obviously, that was a breakdown in the secondary. That's not a good sign, right? We need our depth to play better than that. But it's hard, right? When you got fast wide receivers and you got running backs that can run and you got a quarterback that can run, and we're facing all the injuries we're facing, it's tough, man. It's tough. But you can see there was a bunch of confusion right there. He's wide open for a 57-yard touchdown. Ugly. That's scheming people open, right? Right there. That's scheming people open. That's what we need. We need an offensive coordinator that can scheme our guys open. All right, so moving right along. That brings the score to 31-19, as I said. But on Las Vegas' 6th drive, Minshew, they try to fight back, but no. No fight back for you. Minshew, miscommunication, interception, Jalen Ramsey. The guy, he is money too, man. I mean, I feel like every week we're playing somebody that can just dominate our team, man, and they're doing it. They did that there. You know, there's always a player that capitalizes on the Raiders, man, instead of the Raiders capitalizing on other players' mistakes. Now, that brings us to Miami's 7th and final drive, where they just put the cherry on the top and score a field goal with 2 minutes to go to extend their lead to 34. And that is the game, folks. The Raiders had no chance of scoring and then getting the onside kick, and then no, it was over. It was over right after that. It was probably over by halftime, to tell you the truth. All right, so if we're going to look at the box score, the Raiders got 22 first downs. Miami got 25. The Raiders only rushed for 60 yards. Miami for 82. Gardner Minshew was 30 of 43 for 282 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception. Tua was 28 for 36, 280 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Minshew was sacked 3 times. Tua was sacked twice. 1 turnover for the Raiders, 0 for Miami. 7 penalties on the Raiders for 49 yards, and 4 penalties on the Dolphins for 23 yards. The Raiders could only convert on 8 of 14 third down conversions, while the Dolphins went 8 of 12. Now on 4th down, we went 2 of 2, and so did the Dolphins, though. So we were able to hold on to the ball for only 26 minutes and 48 seconds, and the Dolphins had the ball for 33 minutes and 12 seconds. So after we took a look at that, we're going to move right along to Monday's press conferences. And we're going to hear from Coach AP as he recaps the game in a nutshell.
A lot of the passing was game script. just kind of fell behind in the second half. So I guess if you just take the first half, is that what you kind of want the offense to look like in terms of a bunch of different guys touching the ball, run pass?
No, I thought we kept them off balance. I mean, you saw jet sweeps, you saw different guys touching the football, running backs in there. I thought Scott did a really good job of just spreading the ball around. I thought Gardner did a good job as well of managing the game, the operation. Jackson Powers declaring the center, all that stuff was really good in the first half. Competitive game. Obviously, we had two opportunities down in the red zone. We got to, instead of kicking field goals, we want to score touchdowns. But getting the ball in the second half, thought that would be another good opportunity for us to go down there and hopefully take a lead or tie the game up. But it didn't happen that way.
He's trying to make it sound like it's better than what it really is, but it's not. You know what I mean? The offense did not play better, man. I'm not buying that at all, man. 6 points in the first half, terrible. And then in the second half, we came in and we turned the ball over, and we just couldn't get it done, man. AP has a lot to learn as a coach, and I just don't think the Raiders can afford to let him learn, at our expense. Especially Raider Nation is tired of it. I know I'm tired of it. I want to see a change, and a change in the right direction. Still with the Monday press conferences, AP is asked what he identified versus Miami.
What was it that you were able to identify that Miami was doing to keep you guys off balance defensively, where you just couldn't get off the field when you had that opportunity?
But really, we had 3 third-down penalties. So it's really the Raiders beating the Raiders on that one, right? So 3rd and 20, we get a holding call, uncalled for. I believe we had an offsides penalty, and we had a holding penalty late in the game. So technique, fundamental things that we're coaching up. We can't do it in critical moments like that. Situational football, that's a 4-point swing there, right? Because they scored a touchdown instead of a field goal. So those are things I thought early on they were mixing up, different route concepts, looking for man, zone beaters, things of that nature. And we trying to, it's that chess matchup, and obviously their quarterback did a good job getting the ball out of his hand very quickly.
What was it that you were able to identify?
So, they beat us in that chess match. I don't think that's the problem, though. I don't think AP can identify things, right? He can't identify what's really going on, go to the coach, the offensive coordinators and the defensive coordinator and say, hey, this is what we got to fix. He's depending on those guys to identify and fix stuff. And, it's just not enough. They need a head coach, too, that can help them a little bit, right? So AP is just not the guy, in my honest opinion. I don't know that he can actually identify what this team needs to do to start winning. One more press conference from the Monday press conference, and here we go.
During this really trying times as coach of the Raiders, what do you think are some of the things you're learning from these tough times that are making you a better coach?
Patience. Because, listen, you hear it from our players. We're putting in the work. They're in there doing it now in the weight room. We're doing everything, and we're grinding. And, you get out there on the field, you put a game plan together, you go out there, you're competitive again for another half. 6-10 ball game. And then we just got to find a way in that second half, man, to get over this hurdle of not finishing games. Either not getting off the field, not finishing drives in the end zone, keeping the opponent off the field on 3rd down, not beating our mistakes with penalties at crucial moments in the game. But I would say the one word is just patience. And it's nothing that nobody wants to hear. Raider Nation doesn't want to hear. I wish the record was flipped. Hell, let's play 500 football. I'd be happy with that. But I think the other part about it, what I'm seeing from our players is that I don't see anybody quitting. I don't see nobody quitting this building. I don't see no quit from our staff. I see everybody just trying to figure out ways and answers in a very fluid situation with injuries and everything else that's going on with our team this year.
So, look, I don't have patience anymore, okay? I don't want to settle for 500 anymore. I'm not going to be happy with 500. I want a Super Bowl championship in my lifetime, okay? And AP is not the guy to bring that, okay? He's just not. So, we're going to go ahead and just leave that and move on to the next segment. All right, Raider Nation, now it is time for State of the Raider Nation. Yeah, so, as usual, the Raider Nation is not happy. Whenever we lose, we are not happy, right? And so, it's been a long time of losing. We're never happy, right? And rightfully so, right? We deserve to win. We're a great fan base, man. Even though there are some bad seeds, We are dedicated to this team, and we need this team to turn it around, right? And the 2025 season has Raider fans ready to forgive Tom Brady for the Tuck game. That's how bad it is right now, right? Dear Tom Brady, this is a love letter from the Raider Nation. Help us win a Super Bowl as an owner, and we will forgive you for the Tuck rule. Sincerely, Raider fans. You know, I can't say that I don't disagree with it. I don't disagree with it, that's for sure. You know what I mean? I remember this play, man. I was pissed. But you know what? We had a chance to come back and win after that, and we couldn't get it done, okay? So Tom Brady went on to win a bunch of championships. Al Davis traded John Gruden. The rest is history, right? Here we are. Tom Brady as the owner. Raider Nation is so sick of losing, they're willing to forgive him for the Tuck rule, man, which is a good thing, right? As a fan base, we should learn to heal and move on, right? We'll see, though, man. As I said, as long as Tom Brady doesn't bring that Patriot way, bring that Brady way, right? You won in New England, you won in Tampa, so come win in Vegas, right? That's what we need. That's what Raider Nation is hoping for. This is basically how I felt. Shout out to rn4life.com. That's a great website. Go check it out. Those hats are awesome. Here is how I felt. When you get the news that Minshew is starting versus the Dolphins and AP says, what is there to lose? We're 2-7. That's exactly how I felt. Obviously, you know that we had a lot to lose, but luckily we lost. The Browns won, and we moved up to the 4th spot in the 2025 NFL Draft. So, hey, keep your hat on, keep your head on straight, Raider Nation. We're going to get Shedeur Sanders, and we're not going to be feeling like this anymore. We're not going to have a coach that says, what do we got to lose? We're 2-7. We're going to have a coach that says, we're going to go 7-2 because of Shedeur Sanders and the way that we're going to scheme everybody open in our offense. All right, moving right along. I don't want to see. You know what, Raider Nation? I don't even blame you. Putting 2 patches, yeah, I don't want to see it either, man. You know, but I'm a glutton for punishment, right? I'm a Raider fan. I'm used to watching a train wreck every year. So, while I don't want to see it forever, I'm willing to, yes, put the blinders on, get through this season, especially if we can continue to move up in the draft order. So, again, this doesn't say a whole lot about the state of the Raider Nation, right? It just shows that this fan base is highly dedicated and way undervalued and deserving of a championship. So that'll do it for this week's State of the Raider Nation. All right, Raider Nation, it's time to go behind enemy lines. All right, this week we got the Broncos in Vegas. Now, the Broncos haven't won in Vegas since we went to Vegas. But they did just snap an 8-game losing streak. And now, I got a funny feeling, they're about to go into Vegas and get the W, which would be good for our team overall. We've discussed this plenty of times. So let's go ahead and move on to the first clip we got, which is Patrick Graham talking about Bo Nix.
What improvements have you seen from Bo Nix from the first meeting that you guys had until now?
I think I mentioned it the first press conference talking about Denver. You know, one, he has an excellent coach with Coach Payton. So, like, you know, just the years I've been in the league, you know, I remember my first year in the league, they destroyed us. It was down there in the Superdome, it was bad. And he does such a good job, the head coach, who's the play caller, at using their personnel. And you can see that Bo is comfortable with that. He knows, okay, this guy is doing this guy's doing that. And he's getting them the ball in those situations. The thing that stood out about me, and again, he played a lot of games in college. He has complete control of the line of scrimmage in terms of whatever parameters that Coach Payton's giving him, but he has control of it. He's able to get in and out of checks. He's able to get him into protection, and he's not taking a lot of sacks. That's a credit to his offensive line and their scheme. But you've seen a rookie player who has a lot of experience in college. I forget how many number of games he started. I think it was up there in the 70s or 60s, something crazy, whatever. But he's a mature player out there, and he's just getting better.
Tyree.
So it sounds like Sean Payton's got his guy. Now, I know the Raiders said they would not have drafted Bo Nix, but I think they just said that so they could say that the Broncos didn't get one over us. Because if they wouldn't have drafted Bo Nix as well as he's playing now, then that means they cannot evaluate talent, right? So that's a lie, Raider Nation. Don't buy into that. Bo Nix is the real deal, man, and the coaches know it. So, like I said, Sean Payton calling plays with the quarterback like Bo Nix, Andy Reid calling plays with the quarterback like Patrick Mahomes. We are going to need a comparable offensive coordinator and a comparable quarterback, and it has to happen this offseason. But let's move right along and take a look at the first clip we have of Bo Nix. Right here, you can see from the Atlanta 12, he finds a guy wide open for the touchdown. Now, this is all scheme right here, man. That guy, look, at the misdirection right here, and then our guy sneaks out underneath. Nobody picks him up. Again, we've had mental lapses last week versus the Dolphins, so I expect us to be confused when it comes to facing the Broncos as well, man. He's going to scheme guys open. So moving on to the next video, we got another pass. This time it is to Vele for 33 yards, man. I'm worried about this guy. We just talked about how our secondary is injured. This guy and Sutton can have a heck of a game, man. And Bo Nix will find multiple receivers. So expect to see a lot of what we saw last week, which was wide receivers having a field day versus us. So we're going to move on to the next play on 3rd and goal from the Atlanta 12. Bo Nix finds Mims for a touchdown. Now, why can't we run screens like this, man? Great scheme, man. Their offensive line just ran out there and mowed over everybody. Look at this. Motion, screen, touchdown. Seems like every time we throw the screen, we get stuffed. You know what I mean? I'm just tired of it. We need some creativity in this offense, and we need it now. Right? This brings the score to 21-6. Right? But look, they're not afraid to run the same play over and over. So our guys better be ready and recognize these plays, man, because they're going to make us stop them. Here's another play that's almost the same play. This time to Franklin for a 7-yard touchdown. I mean, they're going to make you stop them before they change what they're calling, right? We are going to have to make adjustments, and I'm not sure that we have the roster and the personnel to do that, man. So this is kind of worrisome, guys. This kid's going to have a field day on us. So hopefully our guys are ready for the screenplay like that, because I can definitely see Sean Payton running that play against us a couple of times. And this takes the lead to 28-6, man. Again, the Falcons were a 6-win team, and they came in and got mowed over. So it's not looking good. Moving on to the last play of Bo Nix that we have. He finds Humphrey for 41 yards and a touchdown. This is the play we talked about our defense breaking down. Or no, that was the last play. Sorry. This play is another touchdown. At 41 yards this time. Like I said, Bo Nix is not afraid to distribute the ball, and he will find his guys for touchdowns. Little rollout right there, wide open, touchdown. Look at that. Nobody around. And that takes the lead to 38-6. Right now, with that, after we looked at Bo Nix, I'm going to just say this again. Don't sleep on the run. Don't sleep on the run. Here we go. We got Williams on this play going for a 14-yard touchdown in the red zone. Not only can they pass it, they can run it, even though they get some help right here with the tush push. Look, their team runs down the field and gets to the ball and helps. And they push them into the end zone for the touchdown. So like I said, don't fall asleep. We got one more running play that we're going to look at after this, man. But the Broncos have it all, man. Look, nobody really touches him until he gets to the 5-yard line, and then everybody pushes him in there. And the Falcons, they didn't go to the ball. The Broncos did. All right, so we got one more play coming up. Another running play. Like I said, don't fall asleep on these guys, man. Look, a nice little shifty run for 12 yards. These guys can play, man. Sean Payton knows what he's doing as a coach. He knows how to call a game. You know, so we've been struggling against the run. So I expect the Broncos to be able to stay balanced and score points with both the run and the pass. So let's move on to Coach AP. And when he was asked about the Broncos.
I think the Broncos have 6 players with at least 3 sacks this season. When you look at the production they're getting across the board, what do they do well that's allowing them to have so much success?
Good team defense. Who's the star? Like, who's the star player there? Doesn't really matter, right? They play team defense. Everybody's involved. Everybody's active. Everybody's doing their part. And it's all coming to them. And that's a credit to their staff, really a credit to their players, really just buying in and really just all hands on deck. And a lot of it's scheme. Sometimes it's an individual player, making a play. But I think they're doing a really good job with their scheme, mixing guys up, and they're getting teams in third downs that's more favorable for their coordinator to call these pressures.
Last week, the offense.
See, that doesn't sound good, right? We're not good on third down. We're not good in the red zone. And they can rush the quarterback. Here we go with the sacks that we have on board. A couple of sacks that we're going to take a look at. You know, our offensive line has been struggling all year. So I expect the Broncos to be able to put pressure on our quarterback. And then hopefully Minshew doesn't throw another 100-yard interception return for a touchdown. But, man, they're right there on the ball quick, giving them no time to read, no time to react. And Colton Miller's been struggling. So we'll take a look at the second sack that they had in that game. Right around the left end or the left tackle. So, again, I can see Colton Miller getting beat badly in this game by the Broncos pass rush, man. Yeah, our guys are definitely going to have to do better than that on the chip block. So, oh, man, I'm worried, man. I'm worried about this game, y'all. And it's not even just the sacks, right? They got this kid called Barton. Barton, man. I think this kid's going to have a great game. Look at this linebacker running all over the place, about to get an interception. He's in the middle of the field. Cousins doesn't even see him. Pressure's on. Intercepted with the return. I think this kid, Colton Barton, is going to have a great game versus us. Man, like I said, it's not looking good, man. The Broncos may very well walk out of Allegiant Stadium with their first victory against the Raiders in Allegiant Stadium, man. I don't want to be the one to bring the bad news, but it's definitely looking that way. So, moving along, though, in enemy lines, we'll take a look at, behind enemy lines, we'll take a look at some of their stats. All right, last 5 matchups versus the Broncos. We lead the all-time series 73-55-2. So there's that, right? We've been beating the Broncos for a long time. But they did win all those Super Bowls in the, mid-2000s. So, I don't know, man. They're catching up. They caught up in Super Bowls. That's all that really matters, right? We need to get ahead of them. So, yeah, the Broncos have won one. Only one, right? We just talked about the last matchups. Okay, so the last 5 games, they're not really that great. But the Broncos are definitely prepared to do well. All right, looking at the team leaders. Again, Bo Nix, 234 yards, 234 completions out of 357 attempts for 2,275 yards. 14 touchdowns already, man. Cortland Sutton, 49 receptions, 647 yards, 3 touchdowns. And Javonte Williams, 112 rushes, 447 yards for 3 touchdowns. I think that they're going to do pretty well, guys. That offense is just tough, man. It's tough. So we look at, let's see. Team rankings, okay. So the Broncos on the road are 3-3, and at home we are 1-3, man. So like I said, I think the Broncos are going to be able to win this game. I don't care if they haven't won; they're about to win. We've been giving up first to everybody, first touchdown, first this, first that. It's going to be the Broncos' first win this year. in Allegiant Stadium. All right, points scored per game. The Broncos are 20th, but they still have a high-powered offense. You know, I just said, Bo Nix has thrown 14 touchdowns. Points allowed, Denver is third. They only allow 16.6 points per game. So we'll be lucky to get 20 points versus them. Their takeaway differential is 0. We are still negative 15. So I'm pretty sure they're going to be taking the ball away from us. The Broncos are 25th when it comes to passing yards per game. They're 20th when it comes to rushing yards per game. And then they're 7th when it comes to defensive passing yards per game, and 6th when it comes to defensive running yards per game. So again, man, that defense is going to keep them in the game, man. Our defense is 11th and 15 in pass and rush defense, and then we are 17 and 13 in pass and rush offense. So, I mean, it's just not looking good, y'all. The Broncos are definitely going to be able to take this win, in my opinion. And it's sad to say. It really is. But, hey, all we can hope for is that we end up drafting Shedeur Sanders. That's all I can say. All right? So that does it for Behind Enemy Lines. All right, Raider Nation, it's time to take a look at this week's injury report. All right, as we head on over to Raiders.com, we're going to see that it's not looking too good. All right, not looking too good. Starting with Jacorian Bennett being out. As I said earlier, our secondary is very much depleted. Nate Hobbs and Jacorian Bennett are out. Harrison Bryant is questionable. Andre James is questionable. Jack Jones is questionable. Alexander Madison is doubtful. Justin Shorter is in the negative. Samir White is doubtful. And Cody Whitehair is doubtful. Now, my question is, should we see Jack Jones? I don't think so. The guy is a legit cornerback for us, and he could be for many years to come. And in a year like this, I don't want to see our guys come and play injured, right? We're not going to win anything. It's not going to do anything for us. It's only going to hurt the players that we need to come back next year healthy and ready to go. So I say do not play Jack Jones. Alexander Madison being doubtful is definitely not a good thing either. He's been our best running back, but now we're going to get another look at Dylan Labe. So let's hope that he doesn't fumble on his first carry. Andre James is not coming back as a starter as per head coach AP. He says he's going to go with the same starting 5, so we're going to see JPJ play center for the rest of the year. Now, Cody Whitehair being out, man, or questionable, that kind of concerns me. I think that Cody Whitehair and Colton Miller are the best option we have on the left side. So with that Denver defense coming in, ready to put the pressure on, we're going to need to be at full strength on the left side. We'll see if Cody Whitehair can come in. Zamir White being doubtful, I doubt he was going to have any impact on the game anyways, so not necessarily the biggest concern. Now, moving on to the Broncos, Brandon Jones, P.J. Locke, Ben Powers. They got the negative sign on there, so I doubt they're going to play it, right? Josh Reynolds, Drew Sanders, out, and Zach Allen is questionable. So they look like they're pretty much ready to go, and we are beat up. So not necessarily what we want to see as a fan base, I know. But, again, that's probably what's going to happen. They're going to be ready. We're not. They're going to win. So, yeah, here we go. They say next man up, but who's the next man up? You know what I mean? We need depth. We need depth. So hopefully the guys are going to provide depth for us next year, get the reps necessary this year because of all the injuries, and can perform well for us in case we face injuries next year. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this week's injury report. All right, Raider Nation, it's about time to get out of here. But before we get out of here, I'm going to go ahead and give you my final thoughts. All right, well, I mean, what is there to say, right? This year has been terrible. It's the worst year I've ever seen, man. And this is the worst team I've ever seen on the, as far as the Raiders, man. We are in desperate need of a head coach, of an offensive coordinator, of a starting quarterback, a legit starting quarterback. We are in desperate need of those three things. And hopefully, we can get those three things that we need for next year and still keep Patrick Graham. Because if we have to start over with a head coach, an offensive coordinator, a new quarterback, and a new defensive coordinator, what are we going to do? That's another losing season right there, possibly, right? Unless we have this miraculous turnaround, right? It's possible. Some teams do that. But we seem like we're so far away from that. Like, that is just a pipe dream, man. So I'm not expecting that. Again, I'd like to see Patrick Graham become head coach, next year if we let go of AP and we cannot get a hold of prime time. But now that we're talking about prime time yet again, I want to note that I've come out and said it. Multiple people have come out and said that prime time can come to the NFL. Now, I know there are a lot of naysayers, but you know what? You throw enough money at a guy, he's going to do it. Now, the Cowboys are rumored to have interest in prime time. And Michael Irvin says, you know what? I've heard it from the man himself. If they draft Shedeur Sanders, then the Cowboys will hire Deion Sanders. Well, I think it goes the same for the Raiders. If the Raiders draft Shedeur, Coach Prime is coming to the Raiders. And I think that's what we need, y'all. He's doing a great job in Colorado, man, and those kids are playing well for him. And they will, if he comes here, our guys are going to play well for him. He's more than a cheerleader. He's a motivational speaker, right? He's a Hall of Fame football player. So athletes are going to look up to that. This guy could be the answer to our problems. And I feel like if primetime came to the Raiders, and Coach Graham would stay as well. And we wouldn't have to worry about replacing the entire coaching staff. So we'll see what happens the rest of this year. Hopefully the Giants lose and hopefully the Titans lose. I would like to see the Jaguars lose as well so that we go up to the number one spot. But I feel like the Jaguars are going to take Travis Hunter, so they're no real threat. But if we can get into the top two, then we're going to get the quarterback we want. And that does it for Final Thoughts.